And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Coffee Break. Having my coffee here as always. This time I want to talk about something that becomes more and more important, how to get traffic to your Shopify store. Obviously, it was always important, but with the recent changes in Facebook ads and the upcoming changes in Google ads, the strategy that you will use will decide if your store will be successful going on or not. So let's dive right into it. Now, first of all, we want to look into the definitions of what kind of traffic you can get to your store. There's a difference between paid, earned, and owned media. And I will just go quickly in and tell you the differences there. Now, obviously, paid media is very simple. That's media ads that you bought to get traffic to your store, to your website. So most of the people out there are using Facebook ads, using Google ads, Twitter ads, Pinterest ads, you name it. So everything that gets you traffic from these different platforms, and you pay for it, obviously. And with the targeting they offer, obviously you will be able, hopefully, to get the right customer through the door into your store. Now, paid ads or paid media also includes traditional media. That can be print advertising, that can be TV, radio advertising, even direct mail. You're sending out post mail to your customers is sort of paid media because you're paying someone to get it there. So the spend of paid media obviously can have a huge influence on how much traffic you get. The better your targeting is, and the more you spend, obviously, the more traffic you get to your Shopify store. Now, with the changes that are going on with iOS 14.5, the traffic will be not as worthy as it is. So basically saying the good times of Facebook ads are over for now. There will be always changes and they will find ways to come back, but right now it can be tricky. There's numbers out there that only 2.545% of people opt in to get individualized ads from Facebook. And again, Google will pull in the right direction or push in the same direction. So that might be a problem going forward to get reliable traffic from these sources. So you need to have a plan B. Now, obviously, there's other ways to get traffic. The category number 2, definition for earned media, is basically everything that you generate through PR work. So press releases, for instance, would be something. Word of mouth would be something that falls into earned media. So you try to get the word out there through any kind of viral and social media activities. And obviously, it's earned media because you still have to invest. And in this case, you have to invest your time. And just to get visibility out there, and then what people basically will come to your website because they find you on generic content with content marketing. They find you on blogs. They find you on generic posts on social networks and other communities. So that would basically be earned media. And finally, and this is the most precious of all of them, would be owned media. So owned media is basically owned by yourself, by your brand. That can be your email list, for instance. The money lies in the email list. So that's still a good way to build up going forward on getting traffic to your store. That can be your blog, that can be your podcast, that can be your LinkedIn, your Twitter, any kind of presence that you have full control over and where you can generate your fans, your followers, and whatsoever. Now, you need to be a bit careful because even if you build up followers on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, you're still on someone else's platform. So whenever they try or when they change the rules, you might lose this sort of owned media there. So basically, if you have a Facebook group, then and they change the rules and regulations or policies, at some point you might not be able to market to your Facebook group members anymore, or Facebook just shuts you out of Facebook. So it's not 100% its owned media, but it's not 100% percent yours. If you have your own community, your own hosted community, for instance, where you have your fans and your followers, then obviously this is your own community, this is your own media, and you are the one who basically can decide what to do with it. Focus there, from my point of view, is build a list. Everyone will tell you that it's nothing really new, but it becomes more and more important going forward. Now, as I said before, the good times, the easy times with Facebook ads might be over for a while. I'm not saying that they're not working anymore, but you might not reach the, or you might not have the reach with Facebook ads that you had in the past. So you should have to look into other sources. The best way to do so is to have a mix between earned media, paid media, and owned media. Focus should be on owned media. So the more you build your own list, your own community platform, the better it is. But you should also look into like earned media. So you should continue with your content marketing. You should go on other platforms than the big ones. So do not only focus on Facebook or on Google or on Twitter, LinkedIn, on these. Good old bulletin boards, forums, as they are around since the 90s. They're still out there, and people who have a very specific interest, they still meet there. And with a lot of these platforms, it can be twofold for you. So obviously you can go in these forums, in these bulletin boards, and just be active there and build yourself a name there in answering and replying to questions, posting good content and whatsoever. That would fall under earned media. Or you can even contact the admin of the forum or of the bulletin board, and you will be surprised that they usually offer quite a range of different advertising options, and this falls obviously under paid media. This can be just simple banners that you have running of your brand, of your product on their forum, on their bulletin board, but that can be also that they include you in their newsletters or something like that. So there is different ways to do so. Just look into what has been done 10, 15, 20 years ago in the online space before there was Facebook, because there was online marketing, digital marketing there already, and people were driving traffic to Shopify stores. There was no Shopify, but to stores already using these techniques. Another strategy that you should work on, and I see that a lot of people completely forget about that, is doing PR work. So write your press releases. You probably have not done that yet, especially for small and medium enterprises. They're not really focused on writing press releases. That's something that's like for the big corporates. But write your press release. You can look it up. There's a lot of how-to documentation on the interwebs. Just Google it, and then send out the press releases either directly. If you build up a list of publications, that might be journals, magazines, podcasts, radio stations, TV stations, whatsoever, send it out manually there. Or you get someone on, for instance, on Fiverr or on Upwork who already have a list, and then send out your press release through these channels. Usually it's not very expensive, so you can get it for anything between $50 or $100 to get a very good reach on your press release. And with that, you get your name out, first of all. And also in regards of SEO, you might get some good backlinks. And if you really get published on a publication, you also can use that as a trust marker on your website. So if you, I don't know, you get in the New York Times or whatsoever, then obviously you want to use that and put it on your website that you were mentioned there. PR is a long-term strategy, so don't do it just once and then forget about it. Do it every couple of weeks. Obviously, you need to have some noteworthy content or something, some news that you can present out there. Otherwise, it won't be published. But PR definitely a good way in regards of using earned media to get your name out there. And overall, use a strategy of these three things: paid media, earned media, owned media. And you will be golden over time. You need to focus on the ones that work over time, so that you're not wasting time by using channels and platforms that are not bringing you the traffic. And Google Analytics will be your friend there. So dive into Google Analytics, see where your traffic is coming from, and then just compare where you put the work in and what's coming back. So if you're putting work in, for instance, into LinkedIn, and you don't see anything coming back, then obviously you don't want to put more work into LinkedIn or focus on other platforms, but you only will know and find out once you have tried it. So depending on what your product and service is, start with a sort of blanket approach and push on all the different channels and all the different options of media out there. And then over time, looking into the data, find out what works for you, and then narrow it down and intensify your work to get traffic from these channels in the specific way. I hope that makes sense. This was it for this time for the e-commerce coffee break. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It helps me in ranking, and I see you in the next one. Have a good day.